Hey expats and travelers, I'm Kalie with Expats Everywhere, and today I sit down with Dan and Michelle, two Americans who just moved to Portugal. And when I say just moved, I mean they literally got here a week ago. So we are going to talk about their visa process since it's super current, what they need to do before they move to Portugal, and what their initial thoughts of the country. So let's go. Hey guys, welcome to Expats Everywhere. Let's go ahead and just jump right in and talk about your visa process. And first of all, what jurisdiction were you guys in?
So we were based in Texas, and in the U.S. it splits you based off of where you live. And so our jurisdiction was to the D.C. consulate, and we were really happy about that because we've heard that it's a little bit easier to pass through D.C. than in San Francisco.
Yes, definitely, because you can mail your stuff in, you don't have to deal with the in-person thing, and yeah, passing through just is much easier, right?
Yeah.
Great. And then what visa did you guys apply for?
So ours was the D7 visa, which is for anyone who can sustain themselves here. So like through retirement income, rental income, or remote workers, things like that.
You don't have to give us an exhaustive list because we do have a checklist at Expats Everywhere, which you guys, we can go ahead and put that in the description below. But go ahead and tell us, what were some of the notable things that you needed to apply with? What did you need?
Yes, we started off with the things that we knew took the longest. So the NIF took about 10 days, which we got online, through service online. Then the bank account. And we had heard like horror stories of that taking forever. So we got those things done. Got our FBI background check done, which we had one of the post office locations in San Antonio, about an hour and a half from us. So we went and did the digital fingerprints there, and that was really quick. I think it took 3 days to get those done.
Yeah.
So that was good. And then once all of that came back, we got our accommodations. So you need 6 months of accommodations. And what else? Oh, our personal letters, all of that. Once we had the bank accounts, the rest was pretty quick, just kind of getting our application filled out, all the proof of income and your bank accounts, and so get this nice big thick group of papers together.
Right. Now, out of any of those things, did any of them give you like a big problem? Was it like, oh my gosh, this is taking forever, or this is a pain? Anything that like you wish you would have started a little earlier, or was it pretty smooth?
It was fairly smooth. If we would have started earlier, that would have been nice, because it was kind of like, okay, I think this is going to take 2 weeks, or I think this is going to take 3 weeks, and just a lot of waiting and hoping. So it all ended up being timed well for what we planned. But if I could do it again, sure, I would have started with like the NIF and the bank account and stuff that isn't time sensitive. Started that earlier.
I think the bank account, we had heard that things might take a little bit longer, and so that caused us a little bit more stress. But I think it ultimately didn't, and it went pretty fast. But that was probably one that we sweated about a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay. And one of the newer things right now is the bank account, and actually needing a bank account, needing to put money in it. So tell us what your experience was opening that. How much money did you put in? Tell us about it.
So we started with Atlantico, and we opened with them, and it was I guess aside from some like technical issues, there was a fairly simple process, but we had read that some people were having to wait 4, 6, whatever weeks to get the bank account back, or all opened up and everything. And so we met a guy online who worked for Banco Best, which is another bank, and he had never worked with Americans before to open up a bank account, but he was interested in learning about it, and he'd done it for Brazilians before, and so he had thought, oh, he can get it done faster. And so kind of the flip side of that one is it did cost more, because we had to overnight a bunch of paperwork, and in typical fashion, like they didn't know we needed specific things, so we had to do that a couple of times. So that process we did a little bit after we did the Atlantico bank account, just to be sure, because we wanted to expedite the process. And they both ended up coming back in this, like within a day of each other, within like 2 weeks. Like it really,
was like 2 to 3 weeks.
So it was actually much faster. Both of them were faster than we expected. And I think if we were to do it again, we'd probably just go with Banco Best. We've heard that people have a better banking experience with them once they get here. And the guy was really nice. And now that he knows how to work with Americans, I think, you won't have to be the guinea pig. So
right.
It'll go a little smoother.
Yeah. And that I've heard people with Millennium have the same experience as we had with Banco Best, which is you kind of fill out the paperwork, scan it to send it over, and then actually mail the physical paper after that. So that was kind of how it went. And then we started reading about how much money to put in the bank account. And a lot of the Facebook groups were saying that you need a fully funded bank account. And by fully funded, people were interpreting it as a full year's worth of the minimum wages you needed to get the visa. And I just didn't really get that from everything I was reading. And it's so hard because both embassies are different and everyone has their own opinion. And so I thought, I don't want to put $15,000 into a bank account and pay like the fees to do that and then not get the visa and then have to put it back into US dollar and lose all that money. So I went ahead and put $2,000 over. I thought, I'll just put a little bit of money over there. That's funded to me, and give it a try. And thought, I know they give you like a 10-day appeal process if you don't get the visa. And I thought, well, it's really easy to put money in a bank account. If they come back and say, the only thing you need is some more money in the bank account, then that's easy, I can do that. But we were accepted with the $2,000 in the bank account.
Okay, and do you think that did you have bank statements from U.S. accounts as well?
Yeah, we did. We had we threw everything at them,
Yeah.
So we had bank accounts that would way cover us over years of staying in Portugal, and we put our 401ks in there, even though we have we wouldn't want to draw from our 401ks to stay here, but we just put it all in there. We put our stocks, like just tons of showing our funds to stay here.
Okay, great. So you put 2,000 in, and it worked. So would you do that again? I mean, were you nervous when you did it, or were you just like, it's not too bad because I've got that appeal time?
Yeah, I was nervous, but I was more nervous of like, well, if 2,000 is enough, and then they don't like something else, that's in there, then like that worried me if there was more than one problem, that it would kind of get things going in the wrong place. But then I figured also, if I needed to hire someone to help me at that point, then I felt pretty comfortable doing that. Another thing with us is we're self-employed, so I basically I usually don't pay myself regularly, but in applying for the visa, I went ahead and started paying myself regularly to show that proof. And I was like, oh, it's a new company, so will there be problems there? So anyway, there was a little bit of nervousness there.
Sure.
But I knew there were options. Like if it didn't get accepted with the way I put it together, then if it was something simple, I could fix it, or I knew there were other people that could help me at that point that I could hire to get it through. So that's
actually great advice. Like if you're self-employed and you don't like necessarily have a paper trail in a sense, like start paying yourself. So did you have pay stubs? Did you submit like pay stubs just to show proof of some sort of regular income coming in? Is that what you did?
So at the beginning of the process, I just started paying myself at the same day monthly as if I had a job. And so that way it showed. They want to see that you have like regular income. So.
Right. How many months back did you go before?
I did. It was 3 total by the time we applied.
Okay, yeah. That's good. That's generally what we tell people to do is 3 months back.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So you sent everything in. When you sent it in, then what happened? Did you hear anything from them? What happened?
Oh, so they send you like automatic email saying that it's happened, like they received it, and then you start seeing like shipping information. And I'd heard that happened before because it's kind of confusing. You're like, wait, what are they shipping back to me? But that's just them creating the labels for your passport for when you do send it in. So yeah, almost automatic. Within a day or two, we got those emails, and then we just waited. For us, that meant traveling around the U.S., but we knew it could take 10 days. Some people were getting them very quick. And the most we were hearing when we applied was about 6 weeks. That was kind of the furthest down people were hearing. So we just went and started traveling and try not to think about it too much.
Okay.
And then we were in the airport when we got the email saying that we've been approved.
Right.
So we had like a real life happy dance.
Nice.
In line to board the plane. So
that's even more exciting.
Fun.
Were you going home or going someplace?
We were on our way to Scottsdale, Arizona.
Okay.
So just like touring the U.S. and cool. It was just really exciting.
So you were going somewhere, but you got that news. How awesome. Okay. Yeah. So then real quick, backing up, your whole process for the application stuff, how long did it take you to get everything set up and then mail it off?
It took about 90 days altogether.
90 days.
I think we could have done it faster, but yeah.
We were also selling our house and like getting ready to go at the same time, so I feel pretty good about the pace that it happened in.
Okay, and then you send your stuff off. You heard from them. About how long did it take to hear from them?
I think it was 4 or 5 weeks.
Okay, so that's pretty fast, actually. Yeah, because, they say it could take, up to 60 days or so. So give yourself that time just in case. Did you give yourself that 60 days for your flight out? So you heard in 4 weeks and then you had to wait a bit, or what happened?
It was close. I think it was about a 3-week gap. So we put our stuff in at the end of April, and then our flights were in the beginning of June. So it gave us, I think, a little buffer there. Mm-hmm. And we also bought a refundable flight.
Okay.
And that one we could
just
change.
in case.
So I was like, put this in there, and we can easily move it.
Mm-hmm. And before, it was kind of easy to not do a refundable flight because the airlines were automatically refunding because of COVID and all that stuff. But I think now that people are traveling more, they're not offering that nice little refundable flight. So it's kind of smart just in case to pay a little more and get the refundable or changing it easily, right?
Yeah, and especially with TAP Airlines, their most expensive economy flight comes with 6 bags and the extra leg room, and it's refundable, or you can do free changes.
Okay.
So it just really made sense to go with the most expensive one there.
Yeah, especially with all the bags, right?
Yeah.
Did you use all 6 bags?
We sure did.
6 each?
No,
it was 3 each. Okay. I was like, wow.
Yeah, no, and we kind of used that as a guide. I was like, how much is this going to cost us to send stuff over there? And it was like, okay, got this ticket with 3 bags each. Let's do that as our goal, 3 check bags. And it ended up working out for us.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about this whole move. What did you need to do to actually get here?
So the first thing we did, once we decided we were going to do this, is we had a house in Austin, and so we had to decide, are we going to rent this out or are we going to sell it? And we really thought we were going to rent it out, but then some stuff happened with our family, and we weren't going to have, my parents moved out of Austin, and then the housing market went a little crazy, and so it just made sense to sell it. And so we took about 2 weeks, put the house on the market on a Thursday, and then on Sunday it was closed, or not closed. Sorry, it was
we had
an offer.
We accepted an offer. Yeah, so
it was 48 showings in 3 days.
It was really fast.
That is crazy.
Yeah, it was really fast. And then we had the next 30 days to decide what to do with all of our stuff. And so we saved some family heirlooms and artwork and stuff that we sent with my parents. And then we sold everything else, which for us was just we were leaping into this new adventure. We could have saved stuff and put stuff in storage, but we just wanted to take this as a new fresh start. So we sold everything in a bunch of different ways. Facebook Marketplace. My parents had an estate sale. We had a garage sale. There was just a bunch of different ways to kind of get rid of our stuff. And then after we had closed on the house and were out of the house, we then needed to, do something because we didn't have a place to stay anymore. We were waiting for the visa to come through. So we did a 3-week tour, right, of the U.S. South. And then we flew to Scottsdale and to Portland to see some family. And
so you sold everything before actually hearing if you got the visa.
Yes.
How'd that feel?
It didn't feel great because we knew there was a chance it wouldn't go through, but I knew we had done everything we could, and there was always a plan B and a plan C that we could find. Once you don't own anything, then you can be a little more, versatile as to what your plans are.
It really was really rewarding to kind of make this intentional shift in our lives. And it wasn't fun to go through all of our stuff and decide what to keep and sell and whatever. It wasn't fun, but it really was super rewarding. And I feel like we're just ready for our next adventure. So we're glad that it worked out that that we're here.
Yeah.
But I think it would have been a positive experience regardless.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So you're on the flight or getting ready to get on the flight. You hear the news. So then what did you have to do after you heard that you got the visas? What did you do?
So we were traveling, and we no longer had the house that our visa, our application went in from. So we had to email VFS, and tell them we changed addresses. And I actually was being kind of lazy on this one, is actually sending them our passport because we were traveling, and I just didn't get around to it for probably 5 days.
Okay.
But anyway, got them overnighted our passports. We actually in Portland by this time. And then gave them an address at where we were staying. So it really is fast because you overnight it and then takes a day and then they send it right back. So I think I sent it on a Monday, got it back on a Wednesday with our passports and our visas inside.
In there, yeah. Was it easy to ask about the address change? Was that an easy process?
I'm very thorough. So I asked the consulate and they were like, okay, go to VFS, and then I wanted someone to tell me, and so like I called and couldn't get a response. So anyway, I waited a couple days before sending it just because I really wanted a straight answer. I said, this won't be a problem, because I was also worried about the jurisdiction. It's like, well, I want you to send it to Oregon, and I applied from Texas, so I was just kind of concerned, because I could have had them send it to another address in Texas. I just want to make sure everything was right, and they're like, oh no, we can send it whatever address, just let us know.
Okay, so at that point, the jurisdiction thing didn't really matter.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so then you get your passports, and after you received your passports with the visa in them, how long did you have before your flight?
We had
Two
probably
weeks?
2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Yeah.
Okay, so those final 2 weeks, what were you doing?
We were spending time with family, mostly in Oregon, and then we flew back to Austin, because we never moved our bags from Austin, except for the stuff we need just to get by. So we moved back to Austin for 4 days, stayed with some friends until
We sold a car. We had a final car to get rid of, and then just took care of some very last minute things.
Okay. And did you have to get a COVID test?
Yes.
So what was that?
That went really well. We were worried about it because of the time getting back in time. And
Dan had called the airline to confirm if we needed it 72 hours before our first flight from Austin, or 72 hours from the flight that goes into Lisbon, which was in Newark. But they confirmed that it was just the first flight out of Austin. So once we confirmed that, we got our COVID tests, and then we got the results back from CVS about 25 hours after taking the test. So it ended up being super fast.
And it was covered. We were no longer insured. We didn't have medical insurance.
Ooh, risky.
Risky. But anyway, they covered it. Basically, they had a little questionnaire, and they asked the things that we said that weren't the default answer were that, we had pre-existing condition, which is asthma. They asked if we'd been traveling, so we said yes, and then they asked, do you need this for a specific reason, like travel? And I said yes. So, but I don't know what made it free, like what criteria we met, but through CVS we were able to get the COVID test for free. They said 1 to 2 days, but up to 5 days. So once again, a little stressed, but everyone online was saying it's fast. And 25 hours later, we had our negative test.
Yeah. So they probably say 5 days just to cover themselves, just in case. But 25 hours, that's really fast.
Yeah.
And I think it might have been 5 days in the peak of the pandemic, but right now there's just not that many people getting tested because it's really slowing down in the U.S. So.
Right, and the vaccine and everything, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get on the plane, and I think my biggest question is, why Portugal? You've never actually been here. So why did you choose Portugal?
Well, I think we should start by saying we had wanted to come and scope it out first, but with the pandemic, it just wasn't easy for us to come and take a look, and it was a calculated risk. So we were thinking about, especially while we were at home all day, every day together during the pandemic, we were thinking about what we wanted our lives to look like, and Portugal checked a lot of boxes for us. It would allow us a lot more financial freedom because the cost of living is lower. The climate is really nice, and there's beaches. We knew that, especially wanting to be self-employed fully, I had a job, and that was providing our health insurance while he was self-employed, and moving here would allow us to both work for the website, and we wouldn't need a job for me to rely on healthcare. And so that was a big reason why Portugal was a win. Plus, the website is a travel website, and so being in Portugal, it's obviously beautiful, and it's so close to so many other amazing, beautiful European countries and African countries that we're really excited to get to travel and work on the website with that as well. So just ticked a lot of boxes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so we know that the D7 is having individual revenue, or whatever that might be with retirement or working remotely like you guys. So tell us about, and you just touched on it a little bit, the website and travel and stuff. Tell us about what your jobs are remotely.
Yeah. So first of all, this was another reason for moving to Portugal is the D7 visa, which made it possible because it's probably the most affordable visa to get in Europe, and maybe the easiest. I don't have too much experience, but I looked at other options. But for work, I run a travel website. I started about 5 years ago. It's called Honeymoon Always. And with Michelle leaving her job, she actually had a career in digital project management and product management before working for some big corporations in the U.S. So now that she doesn't have to do that, she can help me and fill in a lot of the skill gaps that I have and really help take the website to the next level.
And I think what's awesome is, so the website focuses on couples travel, which has always been more something that we can enjoy together, but now we get to work on it together, which is great. And he's really built up the website to be something that's really awesome. And I'm excited because we get to ramp up our work on YouTube and on Instagram, and we're starting to get into TikTok. And so we're getting to kind of expand the business into a lot of these different areas because there's now 2 of us working on it, which is really fun.
Yeah, my background was in SEO, so like I'm good on the website, but like if you look at it, the design's not too great. And there's a lot of things that I recognize the problems, but Michelle can now fill in the gaps.
Perfect, yeah.
She's much better at that kind of stuff than me.
Okay, so the website's called Honeymoon Always, and you have a YouTube channel now. What's the name of that?
Honeymoon Always.
Okay, and then Instagram as well?
Honeymoon Always.
All right,
yeah.
so Honeymoon Always.
Yeah,
that sounds amazing. Okay, well, let's wrap up a little bit. And at Expats Everywhere, we believe that living abroad transforms lives. And Dan, we know that you've lived in Brazil, but this is your first time living abroad? Okay, so then how do you think living in Portugal will transform your life?
Well, I think we're already starting to see, I mean, we've only been here a week, but we're starting to see the fruits of that. Like, I think I was so used to just being kind of caught up in working all the time, and like my whole kind of identity was revolved around working, and we've always known that mentality doesn't exist everywhere outside of the United States. It exists in some places, but so this is an opportunity for us to kind of shift our mindset in that way, and really be more intentional about our time and how we're spending it and what we're doing. So at the very least, this is like a really big adventure we get to take together, and really excited that that it's a big shift for us, but it's a really positive one. I think it's going to be more relaxed, a slower pace, something for us to, I don't know, just a big adventure.
Yeah. And, Michelle hasn't lived abroad, but she studied anthropology in college. My degree was in international studies. I've lived abroad. And the one thing that, like, all of that gives you is a nice, wider perspective of the world and what's going on and the people and cultures and learning all about that. So I'm excited to continue doing that. And, in the U.S. sometimes, you turn on the news, it's all about the U.S. You turn on the news here and it's about the world. And I think that's a good kind of dose of what you get in living in Portugal or around the world. It's no longer just about the U.S. You learn about other cultures, about other people. And, I just love meeting other people. And when I've lived abroad before, or even just traveling, really realizing that everyone, we're all the same. It doesn't matter where you live. People are great, and just, continue to experience that.
Awesome. Well, Dan, Michelle, welcome to Portugal.
Thank
We're
you.
excited to have you. And for those of you who are interested in the D7 visa, Expats Everywhere has a DIY course. You can check the link in the description below. And if you want more videos on how to prepare moving to Portugal, then click this playlist right here, and that'll help you out. Now let's get moving.